Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Clarity Soft webinar. My name is Susan Arnold. I'm the implementation specialist here at Clarity Soft. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2020, and our topic for today is streamlining sales in Clarity Soft. We're going to talk about the sales cycle in Clarity Soft, starting with leads, moving to accounts contacts, and then creating an opportunity, taking that opportunity, converting it to a quotation record, and then finally converting that record to a sale record. So that you understand the flow of how you can start with a lead and go all the way through to a sale. Now, depending upon your company and your process that you currently follow, you may not use all those modules. You might not use leads, which is fine. That is optional. You might not use quotations because your quotations are more proposal-like and you have other software that you create your quotations in. You might not use sales because it goes to your accounting system by that point in time. But we want to walk through the whole process so that you can see how it does flow and then make decisions on, maybe we want to add something in here. We're not using leads. Maybe we want to use leads. Maybe we want to try and track our sales or something like that. So we'll walk through that whole process. And then the last thing that we'll talk about are the workflow processes. Some of you may have these in your database and some of you may not. If you have either the what we call the accelerator level or the enterprise level with your database, you will definitely have the workflow processes available to you. If you have just professional level, you will not. But it'll be something you can look at and think about. These are processes that you can establish where you can set a rule and say, whenever I mark an opportunity as having been won, it triggers an activity to be created for someone to send a welcome email, or perhaps it sends the welcome email to the customer automatically. So those are things we'll talk about. And then we'll go over a little bit of tips and best practices for working with the sales and just little ideas that our team has come up with. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. As soon as I find my Clarity Soft. And as I said, we're going to start in the leads module, which is optional to use. One of the reasons to use the leads module is that it's a good place if you do attend a number of trade shows or conferences where you get lists of possible leads. It's a good place to import them, where you can get that list into Excel format. You can import them into the leads module and then begin to work with them. The other thing that you can do with the leads module is it does have the ability now to integrate with a web page form. If you have a form on your website where people can fill in information and request a contact with you, that can be integrated with Clarity Soft, and that information in that web form can come directly into the leads module. So a couple of reasons to start using it if you haven't been using it. And when a lead comes in, it is marked usually with the status of new. You have 4 status types in leads: new, working, closed, and converted. Okay, so a brand new lead will have the status of new. And up here, you have filters. So you can see all leads, which will show them no matter what the status is. And so you can see some are converted, some are working, they're all mixed. And that's a good place to start sometimes if you can't find a lead, you don't know exactly where it is. So start with all leads and then you can search for it. And again, always at the bottom of the page, it tells you how many records you're viewing. So if I go back to, if I look at closed leads would be ones that you've worked with and they are just never going to go anywhere. It's not a good fit for your products or services. They're not interested, whatever. You've contacted them, many times and it's not going anywhere. So you can mark that lead as closed. And then, at some future point, you can look at it and say, well, is it closed because it's never going to go anywhere, and delete it from the system? Or maybe in 6 months, maybe they'll have money or whatever. So you can mark it closed. And then your working leads are the ones that you're currently working with. You've contacted them and you're working with them. So these are a way to get things down to a more controllable list to work with. So I'm going to start with new leads. The other filter that you have here is a user's filter. So if you're not restricted as a user to start with, then you would be able to see all the leads for everyone. Well, maybe you don't want to, so I'm going to say, well, I only want to see my leads where I'm the owner. Okay, I only have two new leads anyway. So we're going to start there. And I want to start working with this Ramvac Corp. Okay, so with a lead record, you may enter a lead manually as well by clicking the new lead button up here, and it opens a new record. To save time, I've got one in here. So I'm going to open this record, and inside the lead record, you are entering the company name and a contact name. Okay, so in this instance, the company and the contact are together in the same record, whereas over the fence, so to speak, in accounts and contacts, they're split. Okay, and the reason for that is on the accounts and contact side is that you may start connecting with other people within that company, so you can have multiple contacts with that company once you convert. Okay. So we have the company, the title, all of these are familiar fields, same fields that you have in the account record. These fields here are custom fields that I've put into this database. So if I choose, maybe I don't know this to start with until I contact the person, but I can fill in, and you know the rule, fill in as much as you possibly can to start with. And then as you work with the lead, you can continue to fill it in, okay? So if we say here, maybe they're in the Northeast because they're in Delaware, and you fill it in. Now, the status field over here is new, and you can see the 4 or 3. Converted ClaritySoft will automatically put in for you when you convert the lead. So since I'm working now with Fran, I'm going to change this to working, okay? And then the stage, this is customizable. You may put whatever you want in here. These are stages or steps that you're in with the lead. So these can be stages, kind of a pre-qualification, to get familiar with them, which then can dovetail into the sales stages that you have in your opportunity module. So you could have, your early stages of discovery and qualification in leads, and then as soon as you convert the lead, you're ready to roll, on into the next stage of the sales process instead of starting at the early stages. So I'm going to say right now I'm at discovery. Quality, this is also a customizable field. Good, average, bad is in there by default. You can put hot, warm, cold, or whatever else you want to put in there that fits your business for the quality of the lead. Or if you don't want to use it, you can remove it from view. Okay, and lead source, this is another field. This is throughout the entire database, which has a drop-down list that you customize to say, well, how did this lead come to you? Did it come from a trade show? Was it a referral? Did it come from a marketing campaign or that sort of thing? Okay. The owner will be one of your users and can be assigned. And then there's an owner and there's a created by. So what this tells you is that Jacqueline actually created the record. She imported it, she entered it, whatever way it came in. She created the record, but the record is actually assigned to me as the owner. So this is a way for you to know who created the lead originally and then who is responsible for the lead as the owner. And then this shows you the creation date, which really was when it was imported. And then the last edit date was today. Okay. The last touch date will update itself when you start to create activities and complete them. That will show you the date that you last completed an activity. And the conversion date, excuse me, when you convert this lead, that will put the date that you converted it. So what you can begin to see is how long did it take you when you created, between the time you created the lead and the time that you actually converted it, what span of time, so that you can begin to do some statistics on that to see, well, you know, what are we doing? How can we speed this up? You know, this one took 2 years, so, or a year and a half. So there's a problem there. And then, so that's a conversion date. Now these two fields here, if you do integrate with your web page, then this will say that this is a web form. Okay, it'll automatically fill that in. That's how it came in. And what source, what web form source. So these will auto-fill when a lead comes in from your web page, if you integrate with your web page. So as with all fields, you want to fill them in as complete as possible before you move forward. And then while you're in your leads, I'm going to click save here, you are able to do activities. So your activities can, you know, you make a phone call, you log it. I'm assuming all of these are things you guys know, so I'm not going to dwell much on that. It will say it's already done, so you need to worry about your notes. And again, detail, put in detail, okay? Save it. You've now logged an activity, and it will be under the closed activities tab, all right? Now, one thing I want you to notice, there's a little asterisk next to Fran's name here, and that indicates to you that Fran is a lead. And if I were to go to the activities module, I would see the asterisk next to Fran's name and next to Ramvac Corp. That indicates in the activities module that that activity record belongs to a lead record. Okay, so that's one of those little things to know. As soon as you convert the lead, the asterisk goes away. So that's how you can tell the difference. And then if I want to schedule an activity, I can do an open activity. I can either click the plus sign here. I can click up here. Either place will get me a new activity. And you guys know all this because you probably have been working with the system long enough. And I want to schedule this for, let's go till next week. So we'll say next week. We'll leave the time. I can show it on my calendar. And again, I can put notes in there to myself about what I want to talk about, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll put my final notes in once I make the call, okay? And it's assigned to me. So you just start doing that. You can send emails. You can click here to send an email to Fran. You can do, if you have the marketing module, you can send marketing campaigns out to the leads. You also can send out email blasts to all your leads. And so you just keep working with it, doing whatever you can to qualify that lead. And once you've got the lead qualified, then you can go to your stage and say qualified, okay? And then save. Now what I'm going to do, I've set this to working and it's qualified. I'll just fill in a product interest here. And I'm going to do a save and close. And I want you to watch. I get back here, I'm not seeing Ramvac. The reason is that I'm looking at new leads. So the filter, I changed the status to working, so the filter took it away. And if I go to working leads, there's my Ramvac, okay? Just be aware of that. These filters at the top sometimes throw people because they've got a filter set, you're not really paying attention, and you do something and you save a record and then it disappears. and you're like, oh my gosh, it didn't save it. Where did it go? If you have that happen, come up to the top. And like I said, the best thing to do is do all leads so you can see them all. And then you can, if you have a longer list here, you can just simply start typing RAM. There it is. Okay, so don't panic that you did something wrong. If you did a save and close, you did it correctly. Okay, so just remember these filters are up here. Same thing with the person. You might be looking at the wrong person. So now I have RAMVAC, it's qualified, it's ready to convert. I can do this two ways. If I'm still inside the record, I can do it from inside the record. And I simply go to this vertical ellipsis button and you see convert lead. Okay, and sometimes that's the best way to do it because you're in here filling in the final information before you do the conversion. You save the record and you go immediately over here, convert lead. I'm going to go back out. And the second way to do it, if you're out here and you can see it, you click on this row action button and you see convert lead down here. Now also notice under here, if you haven't explored this, you can add activities and things here as well. So I'm going to convert the lead and a window will pop up and it's telling me, all right, I'm going to create an account called RAMVAC Corp. I'm adding a contact for Fran and it's assigned to Susan. At this point, you can assign it to anybody, all right? And then you want to create an opportunity. Now, it's possible before you get to this window, ClaritySoft will pop up with another window that says, oh, I found some possible matches of account names. And it might list 2 or 3 account names that it thinks might be a match for RAMVAC, okay? Maybe one says RAMVAC Corporation, you know, and you have to decide, oh, yes, RAMVAC Corporation is the same company, or maybe it isn't. So you might get that window first, and then you can pick if it is a match. You can pick, well, it matches this one by clicking in a checkbox and then do the conversion, okay? But if there aren't any matches, which there aren't here, then we just click to create the opportunity and apply. Now this assigned to, I just want to make a comment on that. Some companies have an inside sales team and an outside sales team. And so the inside sales team sometimes does all the lead follow-up. You get the leads, they call, they qualify, and then they convert it and assign it to one of the outside people. So that's why that assign is there, because you can start with the lead belonging to someone on the inside team, but then when you convert it, you can assign it to somebody on the outside team. So that's a way to do that. Now again, lost my RAMVAC. That's because ClaritySoft changed it to converted. So when you convert the lead, it automatically changes the status. You do not need to do that. And all your converted leads, you aren't going to come back and work with these here anymore. You're done with them in the leads module. They're just going to sit here, be converted. You'll be able to run reports and say, well, how many leads did we convert this month, last year, that kind of thing. And over here, you see the conversion date. So it automatically tracks that for you. So you can see the creation date and you can see the conversion date. Okay. All right. So I am ready to go back to my accounts now. And then when I get to accounts, I want to use my quick search to pull up RAMVAC. So there's my record. All my information has come across. And that's why you want to make sure you fill in every everything that you possibly can in the lead record so that it transfers over into your account records. So here's my territory came over, my industry type, my products. I didn't have this one. So all the address information comes across, as well as now Fran is a contact and all her information comes over, and the activities. So here's my call that I scheduled for the 7th. It comes over. And notice Fran no longer has that asterisk next to her name. And then here are the closed activities. Any closed activities that I did while it was a lead come over. So you don't lose your history. That's why you do not have to go back to leads anymore, because your history flows across into your account record. And then what I want to do here, I have a status field that's a custom field of prospect, active, inactive customer. Well, this Ramvac is not yet a customer, so I'm going to mark them as being a prospect. Okay. And then I can just go down and click the save. And the other thing that's here, my opportunity that I created. So I can start with, start here to see my new opportunity that I created, or I can go directly to the opportunities module. Again, ClaritySoft doesn't care. It's how you want to do it. So if I go here, I can see my opportunity and I can open it from here. It's already connected to the company and the contact. The opportunity name is actually a number. ClaritySoft will auto-generate a number whenever you create a new opportunity, but you can take that out and you can name your opportunity. And that's what I usually recommend, because it's easier if you're looking at a list of 50 opportunities, instead of seeing 13, 14, 15, counting, it's easier to see that this is for such and such building or such and such project or something like that. So it's much easier for you to figure out. So if I say this is, big, I'm just going to say manufacturing project. Okay. So you would give it a name. And then the product field here is a built-in one. It's either brand new business or add-on business. This is a new lead, so it's new business. This is customizable. You want to keep this as a category type field, not a list of your specific products. Okay, it's got a confusing name, but it's been with ClaritySoft from the beginning of time. And then you set your sales stages. Again, these you define. And as I said before, the lead stages can kind of dovetail into the sales stages, so that if you've done the qualifying, maybe you've already done prospecting in a sense. You may be already to a presentation, okay? So obviously you'll decide where you are. And then your industry type is here. All that came through. And we have an enter date will be the date this is created, and a close date. Now, in the opportunity, this is a very important date to keep accurate, because what this is when you anticipate closing the sale, and everybody will be different, again, because your lead time will be different. Some of you have very short lead times, some of you have very long lead times. So you take a guess as to when, and we're at the end of this month, so I guess I'll kick this over into May and hope to do it by the 15th, okay? As you're working with the client or the customer, you change this date and keep it up to date. This might move faster, this might move more slowly, so you just keep changing this, because this date is what is used for the filters in the list of opportunities, and also gets used in reports. What for your pipeline reports, what are the opportunities that are due to close this month or next month or in the next 3 months? So it's looking at that close date field. So that's very important to keep up to date and accurate. And then all the other information is over here. Here's the lead conversion date. Okay, so it has that. and the owner is here. So everything else, you can see I didn't fill anything in really other than the product field, the sales stage, and change the close date. Everything else came over. All right. So now you start working your lead. I'm going to click save down here. Or your opportunity, I'm sorry. And you've got activities here, so you can add activities. You can email from here. All right. You can see your account information from here if you need to, if there's a field that's in the account record that's not in the lead record, you can look at it. You can also view your contact information from here. So you can see everything that you need to see in the opportunity record. Notice these are grayed out. You can't edit it, but you can see it. All right, so you're going to start adding activities. I'll just log a quick call again. I'll just put opportunity activity. Oops, I don't need that. And just, you know, called to find out products. Again, you're going to put much better notes than I am. Okay, so as you're working, the other field you can put in here at the beginning is this amount field. What is this opportunity worth? Well, when you first start working with somebody, you're maybe taking a guess because you don't know yet. You haven't really talked specifics, or maybe you have when they were a lead. So you still can take a guess. So I'm just going to put in $10,000, okay? And then as you continue to work with the person, you're going to go to the Products and Services tab, and if you have imported a list of your products into the price book in ClaritySoft, then you can come over here and click the plus sign to add specific products, okay? Now, depending on how you have your products set up to view, this is called the quick search list, which if you have lots of products makes it easier and faster. The other view has folders on the left, which is maybe what you have, and then you click on a folder and see the items on the right. You can switch from one view to the other in settings under the products and pricing. So if I want to search a specific group, I can simply type in the group here and type products, and it brings up only the products. And if I changed it to, I have strange products in here, so I can see by group, okay? So you can search by a group first, then you can go down through your group and say, well, they're interested in this one, and this one, and this one. And then I could search, this is kind of silly, but they also want a bag of coffee. Okay. Now what happens is all of the items that I've been clicking in show up over here on this tab for selected lists. So I can check that I want all of those. If there's one I don't want, you got a little trash can to delete it from the list. So you then click apply. And now all those products are in the item list, and I just have to simply go through and say they want 2 of these, and they want, I don't know, 5 of these, and so on and so forth. Again, if you've worked with things in ClaritySoft, you know what they want. Okay. So once we've done that, according to the price pulled in from the price book, it's calculating quantity times price and giving that over here. And when I return to my details tab, notice that the amount field is grayed out. I no longer can type in there. And that's because the total is coming from the Products and Services tab. So that field is available for you to type in until you add your line items here. And the only way to get it back is to delete all of these, okay? So just so people maybe wondered, why suddenly can't I type in there anymore? It's because you've added products and services. Okay. So we got our products and services, we've made, we're doing activities, we're calling, we're emailing, all that sort of stuff, and we're ready for next phase. So I'm going to go down and click Save. Again, I could do a save and close, which would return me actually back to the account record, and then I'd have to go look it up in opportunities, but I'll just do a save. And if the record's open, just like in leads, I can go to the vertical ellipsis button and convert to quotation. So you can see you could go to quotation, you could go directly to a sale. Okay. So we're converting. It's confirming. And actually what I probably want to do now is change my stage to quotation so that I know I'm in the quotation stage. All right. Because I'm going to come back to this. I'm not going to be done with the opportunity until the quote has been accepted. So I'm going to do a save and close on the account, which returns me to my account list. And then I can go to quotations and look at my quotations. Again, filters, active quotations are ones that are active, you're working with. Accepted would be ones that basically you've won. Lost would be lost ones, and rejected would be ones that were rejected. Maybe you give them a revised quote, and then you give it back to them, and then they accept it, okay? So I'm going to pull up active. And again, I'm seeing all users here. So if I want to filter this down, I can choose the users and get down to mine. And here's Ramback right here. Okay. So if I open this, all the information has come in. Okay. So a quote number is automatically assigned, and probably in this case, you want to keep it because it does make it easier to know the quote number. The opportunity name comes across into the description field. So you know this quote is associated with the big manufacturing project, okay? Also, you can modify, set up preferences for how you want your quote number to auto-generate, where you can have like a text prefix, you can say how many zeros you want, and you can say what starting number you want. Then you go into settings for that. Enter date, like the opportunity, grayed out. Expiration date is if your pricing is good for 15 days or 30 days, then you can set that. That can be pulled into your quote template. Industry type, all that came over. So it's following you all the way through. And then your status here are the things that you see in the filters. My pricing is here, okay? This is my cost according to what I entered in my price book for each of the items. And then if you need to add tax, you can type a tax rate here. If you need to add shipping and handling, like for example, if I wanted to add $500, I can add that. It will add it into the total. Did it do it? Oh yeah, 667. I can't add. I was looking at the thousands. Okay. And then if you want tax in there, you can put, I think most of you probably don't have to charge tax. But I'll put something in. And then it calculates, and then your total will be a combination of tax, shipping and handling, and the subtotal. Okay. Address information pulls in from the account record. And then we've got all these dates over here. We're still following through with the lead conversion date. So you could compare it with the date that you're creating the quote. So that follows you through the whole database. And then here's an opportunity conversion date. So you've got all these dates that will follow you through. And then you want to save your record. And now we want to be able to send the quote. Vertical ellipsis button, quotation, template. And you're going to, if you haven't done any templates, then the one that will be there is quote template 1. And this information here, for each user in the system, if they go to the settings button up here in the upper right, under the My Settings section, there's a My Information. And if they go to that and fill that in and save it, then that will auto-populate here, okay? If they type it here, it saves it anyway. So they're good, but it's easier if they go to the settings, My Information, all right? So once you get here, you can see that you can preview the quote. You can email it. You can download it as a PDF. Well, we're going to preview it so you can see what it looks like. And these quotes can be modified. You can design your own, put in your own logo, move things around, pull in the fields that you want. So all of that can be done. And actually, we're going to be doing a webinar on that either next month or in June. I can't remember. So here's the basic quote template. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Here's where you can put your company logo. You can change the colors. You can change the wording here. This could say quotation. Then these are fields, data fields that are being pulled in from the record. So there's a bill to, there's a ship to, and then submitted by the sales rep. This is pulling in the My Information. Here's the date of the quote, the expiration date that I set, and the quote number, and then here are your products. Okay, now down here we don't have shipping and handling field, but we certainly can add that, and then that will put in the total so it makes sense and people won't say, why is that $500 off? Okay, so all of that can be done, and basically there's a designer mode that you go into, and then you can move things around. So if I click on this, I can shove that up there, and when I go back to preview mode, there's my ship to floating up there, okay? So that's what you do. So once you've previewed this, then you come up to this tab up here for the browser, close the window, and you're back to this window, and then I can say, well, email this. It's from you, it's to the person, the contact person. It says your quote, and it puts in the quote number, and then there's a little email here that says, it'll say, hello, Fran, here's your quote. You can change this, okay? And down at the bottom is your quote attached as a PDF. So you can, you know, once you've done everything here, if you want to type something else in here before you send it, you can, personal note, and then click send. That email will be sent to Fran, in this case, with the quote attached as a PDF, and it will go out through your Outlook or your Gmail, depending on what you're set up to work with, and that's where it will be. So that's pretty simple. It's really nice to be able to do. The other thing too, these quote templates, if you are out and about using your phone and using the mobile app with ClaritySoft, you can create a quote on the phone and email it using one of the templates that you design from your phone. So you literally could be sitting in somebody's office and say, oh, let me send you a quote. Do it on your phone, or if you have a tablet with a data connection, then you can do it there and send it from there. So it's really nice to be able to do. And the templates you can design, as you saw in my thing there, I had multiple templates. So if you have different types of templates for quotes, different types of quotes, you just create them, save them, and then they're accessible by everybody to send. All right, so quote is sent. Now, what I would do at this point, I would save and close my quote record, and I would go back to my opportunity record, and I would start doing a follow-up on the quote to talk to Fran to see. So I can go back either to my account record and look it up, or I can come here and I can type in RAM back and find my opportunity right here and open it and do add activities. The other shortcut for adding activities is to click this little expand button, and then you can go here and add an activity. So if you called Fran, you click on closed activities, click the plus sign, log the call, just say quote follow up. I'll just put quote call and and save. Okay, so I keep talking to her until the quote gets accepted. All right, and then at that point, it's ready to convert to a sale if you are using the sales module. Okay, and so you can go back to your quote record and if everything, well, what you can do here, you can open this up and change the status to accepted. Then you can save it and convert the quote. So I can do accepted, save, and then convert the quote. Okay. So now I convert it to a sale. Same process. It's now converted to a sale, so I can do a save and close, and then go to the sales module. And I will now see that in the sales module. Again, pay attention to filters up here. There are time filters. So this is looking at sales records for this month, which is going to be good for a couple of days until May the 1st. Then May the 1st will become this month, okay? And then I'd have to look at last month. I don't think I have anything there, so it changes. So these time filters roll forward with you. So again, if you're not seeing something, go to all sales and then go from there, okay? So, but this is good. So I have that, my sale is here. Again, what will happen here, you don't really need to do anything unless you want to send an invoice from ClaritySoft, and then everything is in here. It generates a sales order number. You know, perhaps you might have to have a purchase order number or something from the company, and so if you do and you need to track that, add a custom field for the purchase order number that you can enter in. So anything that you need to go with this data, make sure you put in, okay? All this value comes across, all your products and services. Everything transfers as you move forward. And if you need to send an invoice, you can create an invoice template and send it. But I'm assuming for most of you, this would go to your accounting system by this point in time. And the data could be exported out of ClaritySoft to Excel and then imported into your accounting system. Or if you're interested, we can, talk with you about doing a special project that would create an integration between your accounting system and ClaritySoft for custom development. So that's always a possibility as well. So this is basically the same as the quote template. Again, you decide what you want and you've got it. So we've gone through the entire set of steps, okay? And we're done with our sale. So we can go back to our opportunity and we'd want to say it's now been won, okay? But before I do that, I want to do the workflow process, okay? Because I'm going to have a trigger that when I mark this as being won, it will trigger an activity and for someone to go ahead and send a welcome letter or whatever you want. Or it could be a trigger to the billing department that you've won the opportunity or won the sale. And again, it could be triggered from the sale record. When you create the new sale record, you can set the status there, and then it would trigger the billing department to be notified there's a new sale in ClaritySoft and you need to create the invoice and send it. So these triggers can be anywhere within the database depending, and you have fields that you choose to trigger them. So this is in settings. And like I said, some of you will have this and some of you may not. But under settings, it's under workflow automation. And you can have 3 possible things occur with the trigger. You can send an email template to somebody, you can create an activity, or you can apply what we call an action plan, okay? So we're just going to do an activity, and you can have multiple triggers or workflow process rules. I still want to call them business rules. So I'm going to create a new one. There we go. And I'm going to say, I'm just putting in a rather long name so we know what it is. Okay. And you can put a description in there, email to be sent. Then you choose the module. So this is going to be triggered from the opportunities module. All right. 3 things. First of all, you have to set the rule that is the trigger. So I'm going to say that the stage, the sales stage in the opportunity contains 1. You could put equals, but I like contains because it's a little looser. So that way you can just put in, the word that you know for sure is in there. Because you might have 1 contract or something like that. So, you don't have to be exact. So we set that rule, that's our trigger. Then we tell it, well, how often is the trigger supposed to go off? Well, here we want it to be once when a record is created or edited and did not previously meet the rule criteria. So this means, the record can be worked in multiple times, and until that stage is set to 1, nothing's going to happen. This one, the first one would be when the record is created. So as soon as it's created, if it's triggered, okay? And then here you can have multiple times for things to occur on changes. This one, the second one, is probably the most commonly used. And then your action is, we're going to say 0 days after, and we're going to do the close date. So this will be important to set the close date to the accurate date when you win the opportunity. And then you can do the notification, which is the email, create an activity, or add an action plan. So I'm going to add an activity, which then says, okay, and then you can select the activity type is going to be a task. And so you can see this is like, now the date you do not need to put in because it's going to be triggered up here. So you don't need to do that. The assigned to, this is assigning it to whomever is the owner of the activity record. Okay, so if I'm the owner, I'll get the activity. If some other sales rep is the owner, then that person will receive it. And that's really what you want. Now, if there's one specific person that's always going to send out these welcome emails, then you would assign it to that person. Okay, but if it depends upon the owner, then you want to leave it there. Okay, and then down here, this is notes area. And if you wanted to, you could put in the account name so they know what account it's for. So you can put in these fields that will pull in from the record so that the person can get the information. I think we can have the email address. I think it's in there. So you fill this information in. And let's do the opportunity name. And this will include all of your custom fields that are in the record too. So you can pull in anything that's in the opportunity record because that's where it's coming from. So that's good. All right. Then the main thing you really need to remember here is to scroll down and click save, okay? Because you don't see it right away. So now I have my, where am I? Which one? Here it is, create activity. So that one is there for welcome email. So I just created that. Now, once you've created this, you need to log out and log back in. And if you get these workflow rules going, you can have some pretty cool things going on in your database that are automatic triggers for stuff occurring. So I'm going to go to opportunities and I will look up my RAMVAC opportunity. Hello. Okay, so here's my opportunity. We're still sitting at the quotation stage. So I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to set my stage to 1. And I'm going to set my close date to today. If I left this at 5:15, then this trigger would not work until 5:15, okay? But I want it to work right now. So that's why you always need to pay attention to your close date and make sure it's accurate, okay? So once I've set those two things, I'm going to do a save and close. And then what should happen is I should get an activity. And I can go back to accounts or contacts, or I can go to the activities module. And let's see here. It should show up here. Sometimes it takes a little bit to process. There it is, right there. Is that it? No, that's the follow-up call. Where are we? That's action plan. Oh, this bunch of action plans came in. That's one thing. Okay, so I had an action plan trigger for that to work. And let's see, we should get, there it is. Opportunity 1, send welcome email. So that shows up in my activities to do. So again, I don't have to do anything. I can tell you this, in our database in ClaritySoft, we have a trigger email that when an opportunity is won, Linda and myself are both notified that we have a new customer that's ready for onboarding. We know who the customer is, the contact person, their email, and we then know to do it. So our accounting person only needs to go into the opportunity and set the field to 1, and we get the notification. So that's that. And so anyway, that's it, creating that. Now let me go back here and we can wrap up here. One of the things I forgot to show you guys was this lovely chart, which we went through the process. Create a lead, qualify it, convert the lead, create the opportunity, deliver pricing while you're working the opportunity, convert that to the sale, and then go back and start the cycle again. So you just kind of keep going round and round and round, which I'm sure you are all familiar with as salespeople. And then these are just some tips. Log everything that you do, log your activities, put your notes in, put nice, good notes in. That's the best thing ever. You know, track all your deals, where you stand. Then you can look at those. What are the ones that seem to be the best for you? And then look at your pipeline by going to the opportunity module each day and use your activities. So that's just some tips and tricks. Thank you for attending today. Hopefully you got some ideas on how you can maybe make the process in your database a little smoother, a little better. If you need help with anything, you're welcome to call our tech support team at 888-838-7487 extension 2 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time, or you can email them at any time, 24 hours. And then any new topics, info@claritysoft.com, or comments on the webinars. We always welcome comments so we can improve them. And with that, I will let you go and have a wonderful rest of the day.